Yesterday at San Diego Comic Con, the Walking Dead Season 10 trailer dropped, and I'm here to analyse it in my first ever trailer analysis. It's time to wrap up reality. I'm your host, Tom Vasey, and welcome to TV Talks with Tom. So yeah, as I said guys, happy season 10 for The Walking Dead. Obviously it's not there yet, but we have the trailer, and for all fans that is super exciting times. So I have watched over the trailer quite a few times, just to sort of look at it in depth a bit more, just so I can sort of take a bit more from it, analyse it a bit, look at all the different, I took some stills from it, which is what I'm going to go through. They'll be on the screen they'll be on the screen very soon, if not now, and I shall just sort of pick them apart and just talk about what we might expect to see in season 10 and what we can gather from these images themselves. Now I will say, just before we go into this, obviously there's going to be spoilers, so we probably will be talking about stuff that's happened in the comics and previous seasons of The Walking Dead, but besides that, that is your spoiler warning. Now the first image that graced us in the trailer is, we see like an ocean. So there's some waves coming towards the camera, then all of a sudden we see something sort of floating in the ocean, and it's actually a walker, I believe. It looks like a walker, and it sounded like a walker as well, so I'm assuming it's a walker. So it pops out, and initially I thought it was an anchor that was stuck in it, but I think it's actually a bit of driftwood. So straight away there we've got a theme of sort of the seaside, which immediately made me think of Oceanside. The second image that we saw, it was sort of like a bird's eye sort of view, overhead shot of there's there's six, I was trying, that went weird in my head there. There was six different horses, and there's six different survivors who are riding them. And it is quite far away, so I can't quite make out who everyone is. I think one is Michonne and one is Yumiko. I think Luke is one of them as well, so I'm assuming it's probably going to be Michonne along with a couple of the new group that was introduced in season 9, so that should be exciting to see them a bit more. So yeah, as I said, they're off on horses, and later on in the trailer we do see some horses show up at Oceanside, so I'm assuming that's them going to Oceanside, going to visit. Continuing on, we have this picture of Alpha, presumably in a field, and she's got presumably whisperers or walkers that are around her, and we sort of see her doing like this sort of speech about sort of like, crossing her border and everything like that. So it's sort of reiterating what the rules were. Well, they're not everyone's rules. She created the rules herself, and it's her law, even though she treats it as if it's everyone's law. But we'll see where that goes. There's definitely going to be conflict this season, even though last season, every single time, Alpha would be like, there will be no conflict. Trust me, there's going to be conflict this season. This season, in regards to what I've heard about the comics, I believe that this is going to follow the Whisperer War arc, so we're going to see a lot going on there. But just apart from that, we can see that it's dark, sort of the colours, and it's definitely sticking with horror and suspense, and trying to scare the viewer, because season 9, in my opinion, was phenomenal. I feel like it really went back to its sort of horror roots, and there was points where I was pretty scared watching it. So I'm hoping that it's going to have that in season 10 as well, because so far from the trailer it's looking that way. So the next image we saw was, I believe, because we saw the back of them, it's Michonne and Daryl walking up to the Pikes, which we saw on season 9, episode 15. Obviously the heads aren't on there, they've removed them, but still at the borders there that Alpha's set up, and again playing on the theme of that there's going to be a border, and are they going to cross it? Of course they're going to cross it, because it would be a bit boring, wouldn't it, if they didn't cross it? Something's going to happen, there's going to be conflict, and it's just building up that tension, and again it's at night time, making it more eerie and spooky. In this shot, we have what appears someone with a potato sack on their head, presumably imitating a whisperer. And much to the delight of fellow Alexandrians, because there's two people stood next to this guy who seem to be smirking / smiling, so we'll see where that goes. I did see a couple of things on Twitter where someone reckons that this guy in the middle is a character from the comics called, I believe it's Dante, and from as much as I can remember, I believe Dante, he's not a huge character, but he sort of shows up at the hilltop, and he ends up sort of ended up in a relationship with Maggie. So yeah, we'll see where that goes, because Maggie's not there at the moment for us, is she, in the show? So we'll see where that goes. And this character on the side, the woman, I don't believe I've seen her before, so we'll see where that goes as well. So presumably there's going to be quite a few new characters this season. But yeah, it seems as though there's definitely something going on with this guy with the potato sack on his head. People might be mocking Michonne's leadership, maybe if she's not acting upon the Whisperers. So that could be what's a theme going on in season 10. Because I did read as well that Angela Kang, I think, said that this season's going to focus on a lot of fear, and also sort of the mental effects of like paranoia, PTSD, anything like that. So that should be an interesting aspect to see in the apocalypse. Now, the next image we have is Michonne. She stood in front of the windmill at Alexandria, and she is looking out binoculars, so she might have seen something. In my opinion, I believe it's a massive horde heading towards Alexandria. This happens in the comics. When Alpha shows, in the comics anyway, she shows Rick the walkers in that huge quarry. She showed Daryl in the show. And when, they cross the border, Alpha unleashes that horde onto Alexandria. I believe it's Alpha or Beta, one of the two, releases that horde in Alexandria. So I believe this is Michonne seeing that this horde's coming and she needs to act quick. This leads us on to the next thing. It could be time to release the Negan. So there's a picture of Negan here, and Negan's talking about, he was talking in the classic way he would in season 7 and season 8, He seems to have his mojo back. There is, I'm assuming that's still the cell because there's bars on in the background, but trust me, I don't think Negan's going to be in that cell much longer. I believe he's going to get out very soon, as we can see in future stills, like screenshots that I've taken from the trailer. But again, I'm looking forward to seeing Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance as Negan. He never fails to amuse me, and he's a fantastic character. Now, the next image we have is Eugene running towards, I'm assuming that this is the radio that we saw at the end of season 9 on the cliffhanger. So, and also I saw a photo the other day as well, an image that they released just before the trailer, where it's Eugene on the radio. So I'm assuming this is going to have some link to a different community that I've got a radio network going on as well. So we'll see where that goes with Eugene. And in the comics, it does follow the storyline of Eugene speaks to someone called Stephanie on the radio, and Stephanie is from a group that we call the Commonwealth. So I'm sure you all have heard about the Commonwealth. I'll go over it quickly. It's a huge settlement of people, and I assume that it's going to be introduced shortly in this season. I believe that, if not at the very end of this season or a hint towards it, it will be in the next season, or maybe the season after that if we're lucky enough to have 2 more seasons. I'm sure we will, and I hope so anyway. But yeah, this is definitely going to play on the radio sort of theme again that we saw at the end of the season last time, and we're going to explore it 10 times more, I believe, in season 10. In this image, we see Rosita and her baby. So Rosita's given birth, obviously, so I'm assuming there's going to be somewhat of a time jump since the end of season 9, because Rosita was pregnant. I don't know how far along she was, but obviously she's given birth here. Well, we're assuming that this is her child, but she looks in pain, so there's going to be some sort of drama or something going on there. But we'll get to explore that in season 10, obviously. But there was at the end, well, we saw at the end of season 9, and sort of quite a few episodes actually in season 9. There was, as Negan would say, the love quadrangle going on between Rosita, Sadiq, Eugene, and Father Gabriel. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. But it's I think in my opinion, there's bigger fish to fry in season 10. I think there's going to be a lot more interesting things than, as Negan would say, the baby drama. So we'll see where that goes. The next image, we have Judith holding up on a stick what I'm assuming is a Whisperer's mask. So that'll be interesting. I think it's probably going to be a realisation, that one of the Whisperers has left the mask, and then the group are going to realise we need to get our together, and we need to do something about this, because it looks like the Whisperers are they're getting ready for combat, they're getting ready for conflict, so we need to shape our act up and get ready. So in the next image, it's a still of Carol, and in the background there, I think you can just make out, I think it's Henry, and you can see what I'm assuming is blood around his neck. So I'm assuming it's going to be there's a lot of assuming going on here. You can't make snap judgments here, folks, but yeah, there's a lot of assuming, and I think it's probably going to be some sort of flashback or Carol hallucinating. All the more for Carol to get revenge. I've seen it blown up all the way on social medias. Everyone wants Carol to take down Alpha. They want Carol to be the one to be the person to kill Alpha. And I think we're going to see a theme of that, definitely, because there was a tiny bit of I wouldn't say conflict, because I don't know if it was face to face, but there was a couple of things said later on in the trailer that make you think, oh, this is going to be exciting, Carol versus Alpha. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think the whole thing about because Alpha killed Henry, Carol is out for revenge. Now, another thing that happened in the trailer, we saw there was a message that was sort of being shown all over Alexandria. Someone had spray painted on the pavement "Silence the Whisperers," and also this, that this is the one here on the pavement, and the next one we saw on a Alexandria door, "Silence the Whisperers." So this could link back to what I was saying about the guy with the potato sack on his head imitating the Whisperers. I think it could be a lot of people mocking Michonne's leadership, and this could lead because, as we know, Denai Gurira, she's leaving The Walking Dead this season, so it's Michonne's final season. So again, this could be linking to where Michonne goes, what happens with her. But I'm assuming that there's going to be quite a lot of mocking of the leadership. The fact that there's someone imitating a whisperer within Alexandria, and also there's people as you say, like putting like graffiti all over Alexandria on the floors, on the doors. Oh, it all rhymes. And I was going to say walls, but that's not. But yeah, that's what's going on there. There's been a lot of vandalism going on, so it's shown offence to the leadership and also just offence to the democracy in general. So that's definitely going to be a theme that plays into this one. Now, the next thing we see is Lydia with a stick, just like Morgan's when he used to be on The Walking Dead. So Lydia's obviously getting trained to fight, and she's definitely learned. I cannot remember what the martial art is called that Morgan learned with the stick, but I'm assuming it's that because Henry learned that as well, so maybe she learned a couple of things off Henry, maybe, but we'll see where that goes. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone there apart from Morgan and Henry who aren't there anymore to teach Lydia that, so obviously maybe Morgan passed that down to a few other people, or Henry's taught a few other people that have then taught Lydia, so we'll see what happens there. Now the next shot we see is Aaron with I can't remember her name. I think it's Gracie. That she was the baby that they saved from one of the saviour outposts when there was all out war going on. And Aaron adopted her, and I think her name was Gracie anyway. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Say it in the comments, but I think it's Gracie. Yeah, so we're going to see a dynamic there going on as well. So we'll explore that sort of relationship more between Aaron and Gracie. The next one we have, again, which I loved last season, is the dynamic between Connie and Daryl, and obviously we've got Dog there as well. So I really thought that was a wonderful theme last season. I really enjoyed watching the relationship. It's a friend relationship between Daryl and Connie. The way that they sort of went about working together to sort of get Henry and Lydia out of certain sticky situations, or going against the Whisperers somewhat. They had a great dynamic, and I really like that, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes in season 10 as well. As I said earlier, there are the guys on horseback showing up at Oceanside, so we'll see. I think Oceanside are going to play into this season a lot more than they did in 9, because they weren't in 9 an awful lot, but I think we're going to see a lot more of them in season 9, which is pretty exciting because I feel like we've sort of lost touch with Oceanside a little bit, so I like to see where we go with that. Now, this is an interesting one because I didn't notice this first time out. I just thought it was a picture of Negan, but then I looked at it, over and over again, and Negan's got blood all over his face, meaning that, there's only one thing, Negan must get out of the cell, as we can see as well in other stills, and also Negan has been involved in combat, so that means we're going to get some intense scenes with Negan, whether he's killed someone, whether it could just be a walker, but I feel like if they were to put that in the trailer, it'd be a bit underwhelming. I think people want to see Negan, actually fight someone and, potentially kill a villain, because I'm pretty sure the majority of the Walking Dead fandom really, really do love Negan as a character. So, and I for one, I'm one of them. So I'd really like to see where that goes. Now, this image is a really interesting one. We can sort of see a crowbar and it's sort of dripping in, I'm assuming it's blood, and there's someone on the floor lying there, and initially I couldn't really make out who it was, and then on closer inspection I noticed that there's actually, you can see the mace on the end of, I think you call it a mace anyway, on the end of the hand, so I'm assuming that it's Aaron. I'm sorry I keep saying assuming, but I don't want to jump to any conclusions, so that's why I keep saying that. But yeah, I think it's Aaron on the floor there, and we do actually see later on in the trailer, Gabriel sort of encourages Negan and Aaron to go out and fight together, so that could well be, Negan maybe saving Aaron, or maybe Negan even trying to kill Aaron. So that's interesting. That's open for interpretation, and we'll see where that goes. I'd like to think that they work together, but again, you'd sort of, if he did end up killing Aaron, Negan would be like, well, the viewers would be like, wow, Negan is back, here he is. So that, I mean, Aaron isn't one of my favourite characters. I wouldn't be distraught if he ended up getting killed off, but I'd definitely prefer Negan over Aaron. Speaking of that, anyway, here is the the image in which Gabriel forces Aaron and Negan to work together. And, this scene was quite sort of like, I think it was a sort of comical approach that they were going for. Gabriel was like peanut butter, meat, jelly, and sort of mixed them together. And Negan was sort of like, oh, I like what you're doing with your stump there, making good use of it. So, yeah, that it looks a bit of an awkward pairing, but maybe it might work out. We'll see where that goes. And as I said, there is Aaron's new and improved hand. I don't believe it looked like that in season 9. Now he's got the mace on his hands, so I'm sorry if it's not called a mace, by the way. I believe it's called that, which is why I'm saying that. But we'll see. I mean, I'm looking forward to see the dynamic between these two. Again, on the beach again, at the seaside, we see people practicing combat, whether this be, for real. They might be trying to kill whisperers, they might be trying to kill walkers, but they're throwing spears, so this is going back to basics. As we've seen, Oceanside, I'm pretty sure they are fond of throwing spears, they're a fishing community, so they know how to catch fish, and they probably use spears for that, and we can see Alden here throwing a spear, so we'll see where that goes. I mean, I think Oceanside could be teaching them different tactics to fight, or different tactics to maybe just catch fish. I mean, it's a pretty intense scene if they're just catching fish. Let's go down to the beach and have a really sort of stern look on our faces as we catch some salmon. I don't think that's going to be the case. I believe that they're going to be fighting walkers or whisperers. There's a still of a whisperer, again, just sort of showing us how creepy they actually are, and it looks like Michonne there, sort of, as you can see, you can't see her face obviously, but you can sort of see the back of her. I believe it's Michonne, so again, we're going to see probably Michonne come face to face with some whisperers and obviously have some conflict with them. Then we see Beta in a field. He looks pretty scared. He looks like he's sort of trying to find out what's going on. He's sort of either like looking up, so maybe he's seen something. We might see another helicopter. He might be looking in the distance there, so he might be worried, about like there might be an attack coming from the Alexandrians and the Hilltoppers, or do we call it Kingtop now because it's Kingdom mixed with Hilltop? So we'll see where that goes. The next one, we're back on the beach here, and we've got if I can remember all the names, we've got Judith, Michonne, I think her name's Kelly, and then we've got Connie there, and also I think her name's Diane. She was she wasn't in last season too much, but she was in season 8, I think, a fair bit, but I think her name's Diane. Someone correct me again if I'm wrong, but I think it's Diane. So we see them on the beach there, and they're obviously readying up for something. They've all got serious looks on their faces, meaning that, something serious is probably going to be happening. So I'm excited to see what happens there. I'm pretty sure as well, the scenes that they use in the trailer are actually only from the first 4 or 5 episodes of the season. So, if they were to do anything, it looks like, if it is the first 4 or 5 episodes, it's going to be an intense 4 or 5 episodes from the scenes that we've seen. That makes sense. I think it does. Yes, scenes that we've seen. Now, again, some more beach shots. We can sort of just see they're in some sort of formation here. You can't really make out any further into the distance, so they sort of all just look like they're readying up for something, and they've all got, the ones at the front have got shields. It's almost like the Roman tactic, the Roman battle tactic, where they, I can't remember what the name for it was. I'm pretty sure it's like the I could be completely wrong here, but I think it's like the turtle or the tortoise or something, where they all duck down. You've got people with shields at the front, and the people at the back put shields on the top, and it makes sort of like a hard target for people to reach. He's a still shot here of another sort of dynamic that I'm pretty sure all the fans are looking forward to see. It's Daryl and Carol having sort of some sort of moment there. You can see Daryl hugging Carol. That rhymes there. I need to stop saying Daryl hugging Carol. But yeah, we're going to see a dynamic there, and that should be super interesting. Everyone, every single season, is rooting for Daryl and Carol. They are legends. They've been there since the beginning, and what more could we want? And I think that's real nice that we can see that. Now, I really, really did like this scene. We can see Jerry and Ezekiel on some sort of ship. So, this is exploring the world even more. Things are getting bigger. I'm pretty sure Greg Nicotero did say at San Diego Comic-Con, things are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're not going to stop. So, the fact that we're venturing out, to more like sort of sea and ship now, it's really exciting to see where things will go. So, definitely there's walkers there flooding out of this abandoned ship, and I don't know if, because the door sort of swings open, I don't know if Jerry and Ezekiel are sort of just hiding behind it or they're trying to push it closed, but we shall see, and I'm really, really excited for it. What I was talking about earlier on about sort of like the Roman turtle tortoise sort of tactic, they're all ducking down, the shields are at the front. They've got spikes on the front of the shields as well. They look sort of makeshift out of I don't know what you call them, the sort of like metal barrels. It looks like they've cut them and put spikes on them. I'm assuming so they can run into walkers and spike the walkers. So that's a pretty good tactic. That's a pretty good battle tactic, and I respect that. You've got the archers at the back and other people duck down. So yeah, this is definitely the gearing up for some sort of war or battle or something like that. We can see Magna and Yumiko on horses here. This could be another scene of them heading on their way to Oceanside, or it could just well be that they've gone out on their own sort of mission looking for something. But yeah, I mean, again, sort of, it's taken things back to basics, you know, season 9 and 10, you know, we're seeing everything's being done on horseback, you know, we've got a windmill, everything's sort of just like, trying to rebuild civilization, and I think that's fantastic, you know, the sort of, they went through these sort of tough times, harsh times, and, you know, they lost people along the way, they're still losing people now, but it's all on the way to try and rebuild civilization and create something for the future. Once again with the ships in a bigger world, we're actually seeing, you know, I'm pretty sure we did see on Fear the Walking Dead season 2, I believe, 1 or 2, where we see Strand's sort of yacht. That was the last time I think we saw stuff on the ocean, so this will be pretty exciting. And this far into the apocalypse as well, because think about it, Strand's yacht was only a few weeks, I think, or, you know, into the apocalypse, so this is like, you know, getting on over 10 years, I believe, now into the apocalypse, so it should be really interesting to see where that goes. But I'm really excited for it. You know, the hype is real now, you know, folks. After watching the season 10 trailer, I am just really excited for it now. Again, more Oceanside stuff. We can see the kids and Judith, and I can't tell if that could be Jerry or Nabila. I can't really tell, but and Dog's there as well. The kids seem to be enjoying themselves. Again, this is rebuilding this world, rebuilding civilization for a better future for everyone. You can tell it's Oceanside, I would say, because there's sand there and there's a boat there. So yeah, that I think it's safe to assume that this is going to be Oceanside. We can see Sadiq attending to someone at a tree. They've probably injured themselves, and Sadiq is obviously trying to help them, or, you know, maybe they're hiding from someone, but there's definitely fire in the background, whether it's been an explosion or a forest fire, but there's going to be some intense sort of fire scene that we see in season 10. There's a scene as well where Carol sort of stood in front of the pikes, and she looks down and she sees that hilltop coin on the floor. I can't remember who that belonged to. I'm assuming it was Henry. I feel like Henry probably had a hilltop coin, and it's currency for Hilltop, and or maybe, you know, the H is reminding her of Henry or something like that. I could be thinking far too into this, but, you know, the whole theme of, you know, Carol wanting revenge for Henry's death is resonating through the entirety of this trailer. So, you know, that's definitely something that we're going to see in season 10. Wow, this was an unexpected one, folks, and I know it shook a lot of people. We seem to be having a new relationship on the show with Michonne and Ezekiel. Now, you know, we've gone from, you know, it was Carol and Daryl close to Carol and Ezekiel, from Michonne by herself to Michonne and Rick. Rick disappears, Carol goes back to Daryl, and now we've got Michonne and Ezekiel. So this is going to be a really interesting one to see. This actually does happen in the comics, but then I think they do end up splitting up after a while. But obviously Ezekiel does get killed in the comics at the Pike scene, so he survived that last season. So Ezekiel's on borrowed time now, as well as Rosita, because she does die as well in the Pikes and in the comics. So yeah, we'll see where that goes, but, you know, it's going to be interesting. It really is. You know, I think that's the one that, this is the scene that made everyone go, oh, I didn't expect that one coming. But, you know, Angela Kang as showrunner, I'm pretty sure she's going to do a fantastic job of the show no matter what. She phenomenal. She was phenomenal in season 9, Angela Kang, by doing that, and honestly, I cannot wait to see what she's got in store for us for season 10. Now, in this scene, we sort of see a few of the survivors hurriedly sort of like and hastily walking towards somewhere, as Magnus sort of telling them, you know, if we cross the border, that starts a war. And then, you know, this leads on to Daryl crossing the border, and then, you know, everything goes really eerie and spooky, and, you know, it's going to be really exciting. It really is. You know, in an ideal world, you don't cross the border, but as the viewers, we want to see them cross the border. We want to see fights, we want to see conflict, we want to see just everything, battles, wars, everything. Not all out war again, but, you know, we want to see the Whisperer War. This was a curveball. I was shocked. We have found a Whisperer with an AK-47. So, you know, in the comics, I don't believe the Whisperers had guns. Or, I mean, you know, they only had, you know, knives and machetes and stuff like that. So this is going to be interesting. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. Like, the Whisperers actually have guns. I thought, this is going to change the game up. This really is going to change the game up. So, you know, they've obviously taken a different direction with the show rather than following the comics of just them having knives and machetes, etc. But again, they must have done it for a reason, and we're going to find out in a few months' time. He's still of Alpha. This is when she's threatening the group, saying, you know, what did I tell you about crossing my border? Do the group care? No, they don't. It was Alpha who set those rules, not them. They haven't agreed on some sort of treaty or some sort of peace. You know, Alpha set those rules. It's her border, not their border. And we saw Carol intensify things, as I don't know if she said this too. It looks like I think it was Daryl. I'm not sure, but Alpha was saying all these things, and Carol was like, "Bitch has to die." So we'll see where that goes. I think all the fans were sort of really excited with the idea of a Carol sort of versus Alpha fight, and if anyone can take Alpha, it's going to be Carol. Carol is she is an incredible survivor. She is done so many things in this show that have made it so memorable, so I'm really looking forward to see where that goes. And if we do get a Carol versus Alpha showdown, thank you so much, Walking Dead producers. It would be incredible. Wow, he's another shot that I missed when I watched it first time round, but after watching it, but obviously you can see it's a bit blurry there because the scene was so quick. I had to take a quick screenshot. It's Alpha running in the forest, and I never thought we'd see that because the Whisperers are all about slow movement and being really sort of quiet, and hence why they're called the Whisperers. So seeing Alpha run obviously means it's an intense situation. There's going to be panic that's going to set in, and again this will link to the theme of that they said at San Diego Comic-Con. This theme is the theme of the season. They're going to focus on fear a lot. Fear about how it can drive people apart, and how the group Alexandria don't want to live in fear. And I suppose that sort of resonates with the Whisperers as well, because Alpha sort of asserts herself over everyone else, followed by Beta, and everyone is kept in line by fear. And could that mean, I might be thinking way too far here, could that mean that maybe we could see soon the Fear the Walking Dead cast, merging with the Walking Dead cast? Because I did see that Fear's been announced for a 6th season, so I don't think it's going to be just yet, but, I think it will happen eventually, I really do. But seeing Alpha run like this, something's going down, it really is. Again, Beta looking like he's in panic here, sort of probably in the same situation that Alpha was in. Forest fire time again, folks, and we sort of see Carol here. So we've seen Sadiq obviously in the forest fire, and now we can see Carol, so there's definitely panic setting in somewhere. And now this was a really interesting one. I believe it looks like the hilltop. I think it's the hilltop, right? Because in the it looks like there's lots of walkers breaching the hilltop trying to get in. In the comics, I believe, when I was talking about this horde getting released upon Alexandria, maybe it could happen to the hilltop. The hilltop could get destroyed, but we'll see what happens. I mean, if it hits hilltop, they might attack both. That would intensify things to the next level, which would be super exciting. But again, it would be great viewing for us if if they've produced it well enough to execute it well, and for the viewers to go wow and actually enjoy it. Now this is a sort of clip, like the part of the clip where Michonne is fighting some walkers in the forest fire. What I'm assuming is a forest fire anyway, or some sort of explosion going on. We did see an image a few days before the trailer had arrived of Michonne in a very similar situation to this, and this is sort of just putting it into practice of actually her. We got to see a visual of it a moving visual rather than just a still. So again, that's going to be exciting to see. Now, a lovely little clip at the end, we saw, again, I'm pretty sure Daryl called Carol his best friend, and, that got all sort of quite cheesy and novelty, and we saw a lovely dynamic between them two. They've been going for 10 seasons now, over 10 years, and in Walking Dead time, and actually in real life time as well, so, they have known each other for a long time now, and they've been very close throughout the apocalypse. They might not have been sort of around each other the whole time, but there's that bond between them from being there since the beginning that's not going to break. Well, we hope won't break anyway, and I'm really, really looking forward to see how this plays out. Now, this was the most intense image of the entire trailer. This is the last bit that we saw. It was Michonne raising this bat up that we can only assume is Lucille. So what's going to happen there? There's several things that could happen. Michonne may kill someone with Lucille, because we know Michonne's leaving this season as well, so it could be relative to Michonne's exit, but it also could be Michonne giving Negan Lucille back, which would be crazy, honestly. In the comics, I believe it's Dwight who gives Negan Lucille back, but I'm pretty sure that's showing trust towards Negan, just shows how far they've came if Michonne actually does give Negan Lucille back. But overall, folks, absolutely crazy, but in a good way. I'm so excited. I'm really, really hyped for the season 10 premiere and the rest of season 10 in general, because I just love Walking Dead. I really do. I know that the show lost a lot of fans in season 7 and 8. I held out, and I know a lot of other people did too, and it was totally worth it because season 9 was epic, and I'm hoping season 10 is going to be just as epic or even better. Would be phenomenal. So anyway, yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and back to me on the screen to finish it off. Well, there you go, folks. That was my season 10 trailer analysis. I thought it was something a little different to what I usually do on this channel, but I really do love Walking Dead, so I thought, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do something like that. And it's likely I will be covering the episodes as well when they come out later in the year. And next year, I'll just be sort of talking and breaking down the episodes themselves. But I thought for a start, we'll try the trailer out, and I hope everyone did enjoy it. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. But yeah, the hype is real now for The Walking Dead season 10. I'm pretty sure we're all looking forward to it. It's in October it starts, I believe it's the 6th of October. So not that long ago away, a couple of months, few months. So I'm excited and I'm sure you guys are hyped as well. So yeah, that was pretty much it really. But thank you everyone for watching. And I'm going to say all the cliche stuff now. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.